Hello and welcome to the Black Gold Homestead. On today's video, I want to talk a little bit about spring blooming bulbs and some summer blooming bulbs. We are on the west side of our house in the back flower bed, and here beside me you'll see some daffodils that are blooming. We have these nice pretty ones with a yellow cup and yellow petals, and then we have some yellow ones. Also, there are some white and purple hyacinths, and now in front of you there are some yellow hyacinths that have just finished blooming for the year. Over here we have some smaller clumps of daffodils. They are white with the white cups in the center, and they were just planted last year from small offsets, so they probably won't bloom for a good while, but eventually they should be blooming. Over here we have a drift of Belladonna amaryllis, also known as the pink surprise lily or the naked ladies. They leaf out in early spring, and they grow their foliage through the spring and early summer. Around June, the foliage turns yellow and then turns brown and dies back. At that time, you want to cut it down to the ground, and at the end of June, they send up 2.5 foot to 3 foot tall flower stalks with 6 to 8 pink flowers on them. They look just like an amaryllis, and they are winter hardy, so they do perfectly fine outside. Since this is a summer blooming bulb, you would plant it this time of the year, early spring. Now these are well established though, so they've been here for a while. And next, what I want to talk about is the hyacinth. Here we have some purple hyacinths. Could you get a close-up on that? And some white hyacinths. And back behind it, we have a backdrop of daffodils. And these are spring blooming bulbs. Whenever you have spring blooming bulbs, you want to plant them in the fall so that they can have a winter rest period or chill, which is what makes them bloom in the spring. Daffodils usually need dividing every 6 to 7 years, but that is not always the case. And the hyacinths usually don't need dividing very often, but in subsequent years after their first couple, you'll see that the flower stalks don't have as many flowers on them, and that's why some people treat them as a biennial. Over here, we have some daffodils that are still quite young, but starting to bloom for the first time, and this is a double. As you can see in the cup, there are more petals. And here is a double yellow one, which these are really nice in particular. I have some blooming on the other side of the house. And planted back behind them, there's a bunch of lavenders, which I've recently cut back. And if you look down on the crown, which these have all grown from seed off of the main original mother plant, if you look back in the crown, you can see where new growth is sprouting up. Over here, you'll see that there is a clump of daffodils, but there are no blooms. Now, these daffodils are the same variety as this type here, but they've been in that clump for quite a while, and they are choking themselves out, which means they're not blooming. So this summer, after they have finished blooming, I will come in after their leaves have died back, I will come in and dig them up and divide them and plant them in different spots in the garden, which will give them more space. Over here we have some irises, which are also starting to come up nicely. And these are spring blooming irises, but we do also have a fall blooming iris as well. It blooms twice a year. Here we have some spring color. We have some small violas. These are a perennial that can be planted into the landscape after they're done in the container. What I want to point out here is this pansy down here. It's very small, about the same size as the viola, but it's about to bloom. This pansy is 2.5 years old, and it dies back to the ground and then it restarts. Part of it's coming up here, and another part of it's coming up over here. Here are some more violas and pansies. Over here we have some more daffodils that are not blooming. This particular variety blooms in late spring as compared to the others that bloom in early spring. Behind it in this cage is a new bulb that I planted last fall, which I believe is called a Fritillaria. It gets orange flower spikes and blooms in mid to late spring. Now, we're going to go walk back to the other corner where I started the video, and I'm going to talk to you all about the underplanting. Be careful stepping there because of the hosta crown. This here is a silver maple tree, which provides this area with a lot of summer shade. The bulbs actively grow in the spring when there are no leaves on the tree, which means they get plenty of sunlight. But underplanted beneath the bulbs, we have some herbs that can handle the low light. And if you dig beneath the leaves, you'll see down here the plant I'm talking about. This is mint. This particular variety is spearmint. Mint is a rapid spreader, so whenever you're planting it, you want to make sure you put it in an area where it is slightly contained by either rocks or patio or something. But it's compatible with these bulbs because they are actively growing in the spring when the mint is still mostly dormant. Further back here, beneath this clump of daffodils, we have a ground cover, which is, I believe, Virginia bluebells. It's low growing and it mounds up to be about 4 inches high, and it gets blue, very small blue flowers from late summer through fall. Over here, I would like to talk about another ground cover that we have beneath this bush. This is the periwinkle vine. It's in the same species as the vinca, and it is an early spring bloomer. This can become a rapid spreader, but in my case, it seems to grow more slowly, as you can see. It's spread out throughout the bed. And this bed, this corner of the bed, is our coneflower area. And right here you can see the coneflowers coming up from the crowns of the plant that was cut back last fall. And they're spread throughout this whole bed. Now this plant that's coming up here looks similar to the coneflower, but it is a First Love Hope Speedwell. I chose to plant this in the bed because it can handle the morning sun, and the foliage is similar in color to that of the echinacea or coneflower. This blooms from early summer till fall, and it has purple flower spikes. Thanks for watching and have a good day.